Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the latest in series of ANME webinars. I'm Dave, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by 4 or 5 colleagues. I lose count. They're ubiquitous. They're everywhere, these guys, from wonderful friends of the ANME Heimdal. So we are going to start off today learning about cybersecurity and what Heimdal can do to protect us in education. And we're going to start off by talking and welcoming Adam to the show. Is this a show? To the webinar. That's a better description, isn't it? Adam, welcome. Good to see you. Take it away, mate.
Thank you very much. I mean, I quite like the idea of calling it a show. So yeah, welcome to the show. We're going to be speaking about SOC for schools and how Heimdal can help you with that very problem. Now, before we get going, though, I do want to introduce a few of the faces you're going to see today. So first up, Michael. I'm sure lots of you know Michael, account executive here at Heimdal. Michael brings him a huge amount of experience, and he's a very good chap as well. And Imran Ray, say the same about Imran, senior cybersecurity architect here at Heimdal. Imran will be going through a demo for us today. He'll be showing us the MXDR platform, the Heimdal platform, how it works and how you can really make the most of it. So do stay tuned for that deep dive with Imran. And myself, Adam Pilton, I'm a cybersecurity advisor here at Heimdal. My background is in law enforcement. I was a cyber detective for the police, leading the cybercrime team as well as other teams. So I'll be sharing with you my experiences and my insights from that time as well. So to start with today, I want to set the tone. I want to set the scene, the current situation, the current cyber security environment we're in. I'm going to start by looking at 2 particular areas. Now, on the left-hand side, this is representing the recent ICO report. And this came out now a couple of weeks ago, but it ultimately highlighted one really very important thing, that more than half of insider attacks in schools are caused by students. And then digging a little bit deeper, 97% of stolen credential incidents trace back to students as well. Now, I'm sure you've all got your own stories, your own experiences of this. And I know as well from my law enforcement background, I experienced exactly the same on multiple occasions. Myself and my team, the cybercrime team, would see on at least a monthly basis one school student come across our desk because of events they were involved in, whether it would be attacking a school or a friend, DDoS while gaming, something they didn't deem to be a criminal offence. And there's one particular case that stands out for me. And this is where a student essentially shoulder surfed their teacher, saw the credentials, saw the password that teacher put in, no MFA was in place. They then recorded that password, wrote it down, and then used it to gain access to the school network and ultimately mine cryptocurrency. And that's how they were found out, because during the school holidays, they were still mining cryptocurrency. And the school noticed these huge electricity bills that they were seeing from all the computers still running. It's something that happens frequently, as I say. And the ICO, they looked at over 200 incidents, which revealed broader issues as well. A quarter of these incidents were caused by poor data protection. 1 in 5 from staff sending data to personal devices. And this isn't just a school problem. This is an industry, multiple industry problem. And others from misconfigurations. But only 5% involve truly advanced insider techniques. Only 5%. Meaning the other 95% is something that we should be able to deal with and manage. But that isn't the case, as we see from this report. And for me, it raises a really difficult challenge, particularly for you guys and the problems that you're going to be facing. Because on one hand, we see that students are motivated and capable of leading attacks against schools like they are. But equally, they're not fully grasping the importance or the seriousness of what they're doing. It's a criminal offence. It just seems like a game. And this is certainly my experience when speaking with these students involved. It doesn't seem like a criminal offence because it's at their school. It's at their home. It just seemed like fun. And then when we come to the resolution of these incidents, say it's a Computer Misuse Act offence, it's a criminal offence. Do you criminalise these students? or do you take them down other paths, such as restorative justice? And just on that point, restorative justice, when you are in these situations, because undoubtedly you will be either now or in the future, always try to push, where appropriate, the police to go down the restorative justice route, because that is a disposal that the police can use, but it means that the students won't be criminalised. And restorative justice, just to explain, is ultimately where the victim and the suspect, so the school and the student potentially, they come together and they speak about what happened, what their perspective. So the student explains what they did, which ultimately helps the victim to understand why they did it. And the victim explains the impact on them of the student's behavior, the suspect's behavior. So the suspect, the student, can understand what the impact was and hopefully prevent them, educate them from doing it again. But at its core, this issue, in my opinion, is an educational issue, because students aren't grasping how serious what they're doing is. And ultimately, who's this going to fall down to pass this education? Is it going to be, and allow me to be stereotypical here, but is it going to be the history teacher, for example, to step forward to educate these students? Or is it more likely to come to the people on this call to try and explain, push that information, talk about cybersecurity at a level where students can not only understand, but actually embrace the fact this is a criminal offence and their skills need to be directed down the right channel? It's highly likely you will be involved in that education piece somewhere, which is more work for you. And the second piece on the screen, the right-hand side, is the fact that we heard this week that hackers have breached Kiddo, a global nursery chain. And they sell personal data for around 8,000 children, names, addresses, and probably most concerningly, safeguarding notes. Now, they have leaked some samples, I believe it was to Joe Tidy, the BBC cybersecurity correspondent. They've leaked some data to prove they've got it. And in some cases as well, they've actually contacted the parents directly to try to get them to influence pressure on Kiddo, the nursery. And Kiddo itself, it's not a UK based, it's not solely UK based, it's global, US, India, China. So the breach is significant. But this brings into question, we have to be aware of the data that we're sharing and the controls that we have in place to protect that data. Because I'm confident that everyone on this call will have to be responsible or managing at least other platforms and the data that goes on those platforms. Now, as a parent myself, right now, I'm thinking of some of the homework platforms that my children use and the credentials they get given to access them. And this is probably going to be responsibility of yours. Another area which is now under increased scrutiny because of this Kiddo incident. So let's look at 2025. The first quarter of this year, it started with education as the hardest hit sector. A 73% year-over-year increase in weekly attacks. The second quarter, the trend continued, a 31% year-over-year increase, with education remaining the most targeted industry globally. And then July this year, the pressure remained, 4,388 weekly attacks, a 24% increase from the previous year, demonstrating that sustained attack, it's not going away. And it isn't by accident, this is targeted, this is on purpose, and we know why. Highly sensitive data, valuable data, widespread tech use across schools, limited budgets and resources for cybersecurity, and quite frequently, predictable vulnerabilities in IT infrastructure. You're stretched too thin to be able to deal with it. And yet, we are seeing the introduction of compliance, or maybe the enforcement of compliance across the education sector. We've got the Department for Education standards, which in themselves are pretty good. And when you look at Cyber Essentials, yes, they haven't reached primary and secondary schools yet, but we're starting to see Cyber Essentials being mandated from the top, so to speak, down. And I have no doubt in my mind that secondary schools are next in line. And there is some overlap, as you'll know, between the DfE standards and Cyber Essentials, but it's not a complete overlap. So there'll be additional work there again, which is going to fall on people in this call to implement. And Looking ahead, ransomware payment bans. So no longer can that be a potential option, insurance that essentially may cover paying ransom demands, because if they're banned, prevention is going to be the only way forward. And looking forward again to accountability of senior leadership, whether it be businesses or senior leadership teams at schools, that is very much coming to the fore with legislation we see in this too, showing us how Europe are thinking or wider Europe's thinking. And we're expecting to see the same in the Cybersecurity Resilience Act, which is due out, I think, early 2026 now. So what we are seeing is more pressure, more requirements upon IT teams to implement cybersecurity controls. And I'd like to bring onto the show now Charles Gregg. Now Charles himself is a director of IT at Oxlip Learning, so he manages multiple schools. And Charles is going to come on and he's going to share his experience with us to talk about how he has implemented Heimdal and the benefits that's brought to him. So Charles.
Cool. Right. Thank you, Adam. So I am the Director of IT for Oxlip Learning Partnership. When I'm not complaining about stuff on ANME, I'm looking after about 6,500 kids and 625 staff. So not a massive trust, but at the same time enough enough to bring all kinds of problems to myself. We recently merged two different trusts together, so we've got all the fun of multiple different kinds of infrastructure going on, and all the headaches that brings. Now, we primarily used to use the Microsoft suite of Defender APT or whatever they've decided to call it this week. And one of the problems I was having was that, I would get, and I'm sure that if you guys have any kind of AV sort of beyond what comes free with your laptop, you'll be familiar with this, even if it's not Defender. You get more information than you can possibly know what to deal with. So like, you'll get an alert through and you're like, okay, you go in there, you start looking at the process injection and all the little trees and things like that. And then you're kind of like, oh, what is this? All the time your hair's going gray, as you can clearly see. It's happened to me enough. And you're digging into it, you're worrying, is this it? Am I getting encrypted? What terrible thing has happened? And then you find out it was Impero or a bat script being run by SCCM or something like that. So you've A, stressed out, B, worried that your infrastructure is being taken down by crazy cyber criminals, and ultimately nothing has really happened. It was a false positive, but you had more alerts and more data than you as a normal individual who's also got to deal with all the fun and excitement of projectors not working and all that sort of stuff, more than you can deal with. This was the problem that I had. So I was decided, right, I need to find a solution to this. This is unmanageable. Well, unmanageable unless I'm going to work full time just looking at alerts. And while I was looking for a solution for that, I found Heimdal and the MXDR. One of the benefits that gives me is that when Doris is at home doing some PowerPoints for, I don't know, insert your problem user subject right there, in the middle of the night, and they've clicked on something or they're doing something crazy, they're downloaded a screensaver or a quiz for their Christmas quiz, and it's really a virus, and you're getting alerts and you're like, oh, I'm literally in bed. This is the thing where the MXDR guys are dealing with that for me. Now, if you were to get this and you've got the opportunity to tell the guys to be able to take action, that's where, for me, it goes to the next level. I can have a big problem happening in the middle of the night, Christmas Day, whatever, and a team of experts, people who live and breathe this stuff, I'm at the point in my IT career where I don't want to live and breathe this stuff all the time, but there are people who do want to live and breathe it all the time, and they're doing that on my behalf, which is brilliant from my point of view. So they can go on there, they can isolate it, they can do whatever. But what I tend to find is that normally they're doing the stuff that I was doing, which is looking through what has happened, going through the forensic information, all that sort of stuff, and saying this is a false positive or this has been handled or whatever, taking the requisite action. The good thing about that is that it's happening without me or my team's interactions. So I'm feeling happier that everything is fine. Things are not getting encrypted. We're all good. I can come into work the next day without getting jumped on by everybody. But I am nosy, and I do like the ability that I can still go on there, cruise through, see what alerts are there, see what it was. I can still get into those process trees and the forensic stuff and all that sort of jazz. But I can also see the little email address of the person from the MXDR team who has dealt with that problem. If I wanted to, I can email them and say, like, what was that? In fact, another thing that I can do with the MXDR is just email them, ask them about more generally stuff within the platform. So, I saw a couple of things going on in our one, and it indicated it was fine, it was dealt with, but I was like, I'm not entirely sure what that is. What does that mean? And I emailed them straight away. I get a reply. It's just nice having an expert there looking after it all the time, and that I can just ping an email to. It's kind of humanizing. It's not just like an AI or some like a little eye on Microsoft that you press and it just tells you generic replies to what's going on. It's someone telling me based on my stuff what's going on, which I think is really valuable. So basically, like the what it took away from me is alert fatigue, like getting snowed under by just an enormous amount of alerts where you might lose the sort of the wheat for the chaff. Is that right saying? I don't know. You might miss something crucial because you've looked at 25 alerts because something has been happening that happens every day. So taking away that alert fatigue and giving me the capacity to focus on my other big problems, like jammed printers or whatever, that's really what it's given me back. One of the things that is not really super related to the MXDR bit, but the patching, mustard as well, worth a look. Anyway, I think I could go on because there's a lot of stuff on there, but in terms of like my MXDR experience, super happy with it. It's taken the pain and the stress of dealing with these alerts away from me, and I think that's something that anyone who's had to deal with that in any kind of like large environment would enjoy and appreciate. That's about it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Really, it's really interesting to hear your insights and your lived experiences there. And just a reminder to everyone on the call, we are going to have a Q&A at the end. So everyone that you will eventually see on the screen, me, Charles, Mike, and Imran, will all be available at the end for a Q&A. So any questions you have, put them in the chat now, or if you want to save them to the end, then by all means do that. But Charles will be here to answer those questions as well. So make the most of picking his brain from his lived experiences. So allow me now to introduce you to Heimdal. We've spoken about the problem. Charles has told us what Heimdal have done for him and ultimately the game changer it has been for him and his experience. But who are Heimdal? So we've been around since 2011, and it all started because for the first time ever, a non-US team won the Capture the Flag Championship with an innovative idea, which revolutionized DNS security. And you probably guessed this team was Heimdal. Rolling forward a little bit, 2014, Heimdal are praised by the FBI, Europol, the US Department of Justice in its fight against ransomware attacks worldwide, as Heimdal supported the successful takedown of an organized crime group known as Zeus ransomware. 4 years later, we won awards for Anti-Malware Solution of the Year at the Computing Security Awards. The following year, we win Anti-Malware Solution of the Year, Anti-Ransomware Solution of the Year, the Network Security Solution of the Year at the Computer Security Awards. And in 2021, we won the AI and Machine Learning-based Security Solution of the Year, plus other awards. And we've kept winning awards. And that is why today we've got the trust of over 15,000 organizations worldwide. And they share experiences that Charles has just told us about. Now, I'm not going to go into any great depth because you will see the platform yourself when Imran gives us our demo very, very shortly. But ultimately, the Heimdal security platform is engineered to address the unique cybersecurity needs of educational institutions. So unified security platform, all-in-one platform that integrates seamlessly across all digital environments, streamlines your workflows, and enhances your visibility. And when we're looking at, as Charles just talked about, proactive threat prevention, you can leverage the advanced machine learning algorithms that we use to predict and prevent potential security breaches before they occur. That word prevention there, really crucial when we're talking about Heimdal products. And compliance, we've touched on compliance and the governance piece today. Heimdal provides you with that compliance piece as well. So we've got a Cyber Essentials report coming out very soon, but you can get reporting on all your products that you obtain from Heimdal to give you that confidence that essentially you're complying with the standards that you need to comply with. So reducing that administrative burden on you and any of your teams. And then finally, the thing that we are going to be talking about very shortly with Imran is that dedicated support and expertise that you get with our MXDR product, that peace of mind 24/7 that Charles mentioned, and the access to the specialist teams you have access to, highly skilled cybersecurity experts on call as and when you need them. And we have a significant amount of products. I'll show you in just one moment what they all are, but at a high level, this is exactly what it looks like. And the power in this is layering the data. Multiple feeds enriches the data that you're looking at, and it allows you or our MXDR team to make more informed decisions about the issues, the vulnerabilities, the alerts that you may face. And as promised, just so you've got an overview of what we're talking about with Heimdal here, you can see comprehensive protection beyond the essentials, and it covers all attack vectors. And the beauty with this is it's scalable, it's adaptable to fit your needs as and when they come up. So whether you're looking to use a security threat hunting, ransomware protection, advanced application control, all products that Heimdal offer. Now, I'm conscious that you don't want to hear me or see me showing my screen when really you want to be seeing Imran giving you a demo. So let me now bring Imran onto the screen. Imran, here you go. Imran's going to talk us through exactly what MXDR is all about.
Thank you, Adam, and good afternoon, everyone. So as Adam's kindly alluded to, MXDR, managed SOC service, we're here to look after our customers' environments 24/7, 365 days a year. And what you can see here is just an example of some of the playbooks and runbooks our MXDR and SOC team actually use. You know, they do have a plethora of tools that they actually develop themselves in-house to assist, but the main tooling is the Heimdal platform. The MXDR team themselves categorize everything based on risk. So you can see they all jump in from a low risk to medium high risk and even critical risk, and they have predefined actions that they will follow through as part of their runbook and playbook to ensure a effective and speedy resolution to any form of threat activity within your environment. You know, this goes from the likes of analyzing logs, pulling not just Heimdal logs, but also Windows logs, device logs, to get the full picture of what's actually happening on the devices that are being attacked at that moment in time. They then perform investigations, forensics, try and piece all the pieces of the puzzle themselves for yourselves. And they will even go as far as performing the remediation actions, as well as ensuring there is no lateral movement across your network. So isolating it to, at the very least, a specific endpoint. And the whole premise of this is to not only mitigate the threat, but also make sure the infection doesn't spread across your environment. So full runbooks, playbooks being managed by our MXDR team. And moving on from here, what I'd like to actually show you is the level of granularity our MXDR team actually provides you, to the point where you can choose what they will do for you. So just bear with me for a second. I will just go ahead and share my screen now, show you exactly what this looks like. So here, within the environment, you have what we call the MXDR managed SOC permissions. You're able to add a list of contacts based on order of priority of who the MXDR team will reach out to, contact via phone and email, and you can even go as far as giving them time zones and time periods of who should be contacted at what point. But more importantly, moving down here, and obviously this is going to be based on all the active modules you've got running within your environment, you can actually tell our MXDR team what to do based on those modules. So not only can they notify you, but they can action on your behalf. They can go as far as excluding false positives, disabling rules, quarantining, and even isolating endpoints all the way through to resolution. And this goes right across the board from MITRE attack techniques used by the threat actors, as Adam kindly alluded to, our DNS security module, where we can detect the zero-day DNS threats, so they can jump in there, resolve those issues for you. Patching from a third-party OS perspective as well, the EDR perspective, even ransomware protection. So they can actually jump in, perform all these resolutions, but more importantly, they will actually give you an incident report afterwards outlining exactly what was done and any recommendations. And to give you a quick look at a sample of what one of these incident reports will look like, you can see this on screen right now. So this is provided by our MXDR team after they've performed the respective work within your environment to bring it back into a secure state. So they provide a nice high-level executive summary. They've analyzed all your policies that are being managed by Heimdal. So they can even go as far as saying, well, guys, you haven't actually configured your policy properly. There's some slight misconfiguration. So here's our recommendations. Do you want us to go in and actually, set these up for you? Do you want to do it yourself? It's totally up to you. They will give you a full timeline of when the threat breached your environment, all the steps that were taken to get everything back into a secure state, as well as resolving the issue. As mentioned previously, we have full MITRE attack alignment. So we will show you all the respective TTPs that were used by threat actors. So you know exactly how they got in, what techniques they used, what procedures they used, and how you can mitigate those moving forward. Recommendations on how to ensure that you're actively preventing as well as remediating. And again, guys, the team will do this for you, but this is just part of the post-incident side of things that they manage, right? They want to make sure they're not just actually doing it and actioning it, but providing respective information. So you're well aware of what has been done and what's going to be done moving forward as well. Any additional remediation steps that should be talked about, any known vulnerabilities, exploits that could be, if not leveraged in the initial threat, could be leveraged further on down the line. So these are tactics that should be, or techniques that should be added to mitigate the exploitation of these sorts of applications or ports, etc. All the respective CVEs and factual data surrounding this. And, it's a nice post-incident report that you can then give to your executive board, your heads of IT, to say, look, we're getting value out of this service. So it's not as if they're going in and doing it and you're blind to what was done. Full visibility right across the board. Now, when it comes down to the tooling used, so as mentioned, they have, most SOC teams out there have their own bespoke tools. They like to write their own code. They like their own tools to give some assistance. However, our MXDR and SOC team use our own tooling that's available in our own console. And this is known as our Threat Hunting and Action Center, aka TAC. So this is your forensic and investigation portal. So from this module, you can see not just devices or endpoints, but you can also see users. And all the data has been correlated already across all the active modules. So if you've got DNS, you've got EDR, you're using our vulnerability management, you're even integrated into the likes of, let's say, Azure AD, and we're tracking your users and log-on anomaly detections and email security. All that data has been correlated, and the SOC team used that data to perform their forensics. So just to give you a quick view of what this looks like. This is an endpoint and device view. And as you can see, multiple devices, and we've assigned a risk score based on all the active modules and what we're finding. So for example, I've got a location here with a risk score of 75. I've got an endpoint here, Jotunheim. It's got a score of 75. Well, why does it have a score of 75? The SOC team can deep dive into this, and they can see all the details about this device. And through the TAP module, we have our famous spider matrix here, which based on all the active modules is saying, well, the reason why you've got a risk of 75, well, hold on, ransomware encryption protection has made these detections. So this is where the SOC team will come in and start investigating what is going on with ransomware, right? How did they get in? What types of ransomware were it? And we do show all the respective ransomware. They will deep dive and perform additional forensics on the ransomware. But more importantly, you also get device info. So you're seeing, is the endpoint actually running normally? Is there high CPU usage, high memory usage, disk drive thrashing? All indicators of compromise of malicious or suspicious activity on an endpoint. So as I've mentioned previously, it's not just the device, it's also the users. So moving over to the M365 side of things, the SOC team will also track users for you. And again, based on locations, so they can be anywhere around the world. Got a very high risk here of 100. And dare I say, you can see multiple users here. So as mentioned, I can pick one of my users here. Actually, you know what? For the sake of the webinar, why don't I just pick myself? And team, it wasn't me who populated this data. I'm not that bad. But as you can see here, from a user perspective, login anomaly detection is finding loads of actual logins using my credentials. So my account has been breached globally. Email security is correlating data saying, well, hold on, your credentials could have been breached by all these emails coming in where you were either phished or spearphished or targeted, and you accidentally released those details. So the MXDR team will map all of the user action alongside my endpoint action to not just perform the forensic investigation, but also action on what's going on here. So they'll deep dive into my user to see exactly what's going on. And from that perspective, they get everything from the email security side of things, login anomaly detections, email fraud prevention. If I had, dare I say, been targeted by ransomware, and as most organizations and schools, use cloud computing right now, did that ransomware propagate to my cloud? Did it go to SharePoint? That is all managed and tracked as well. They can even go as far as, forcing users out, disabling accounts, etc. And again, it's all granular. You can just let our team know what they should be doing. Should they be actioning? Should they just be notifying you and providing you with advice and you want to action? It's totally up to you. But as you can see, it's not just the MXDR team. It is a comprehensive forensic and investigation tool, cross-correlating all the information across all the active modules to provide you with a full threat landscape across your environment, so you see everything from beginning to end. So I hope this was a bit beneficial in regards to how our SOC team work, granular ways to set up our SOC team in regards to notifying and actioning. I'll now hand over to my colleague, Michael, who'll talk a bit more about the commercial side of things.
Thank you very much, Imran. Let me just share this 1 second. There we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for jumping on board on this fine Wednesday afternoon. Thank you for taking some time with us today. I just wanted to, as Imran said, just take a little bit of your time to just explain the different MDR packages we have. And we've got an exclusive offer for you guys, our webinar guests today as well. So as you can see on the screen, the first package is our MDR Essentials. So I'm just going to kind of go through what each means. Obviously, we've touched on a high level and just a little bit more detail, not too much. First of all, we've got the next gen AV and our firewall. So this is advanced detection powered by behavioral analysis. That's what the next gen means. It's not looking at the known stuff, it's looking for the unknown stuff as well. Bad guys are always one step ahead, so you've got to be looking at the unknown stuff. That has two engines inside of it. One is the XTP engine, which is stopping even more the advanced threats, mapping the MITRE ATT&CK intelligence. It's also got root cause forensics, as explained by Imran then as well. So the cause of what's happened. If some of you are unfamiliar with the MITRE framework, it's all the techniques and tactics used by cyber criminals from that initial reconnaissance all the way up to data exfiltration. It also contains RAP as well. So RAP is a brand new module of ours called remote access protection. So this is becoming more and more prevalent within our world at the moment. So this stops attackers from gaining a foothold through external access points. We've then got our ransomware, our REP. Not to confuse you guys with more acronyms, but REP, our ransomware encryption protection. You might notice an X next to it. For those of you familiar with this already, this is our brand new upgrade of ransomware encryption protection tool. So there's 4 detection engines and neutralize ransomware attempts to encrypt, rename, delete, or tamper your files. USB management, I know it's a huge problem. I was working with a school recently where one of the kids, as Adam touched on at the start, decided to put it in some ransomware on a USB for a laugh. So there's full control of USB use to prevent data loss and malware spread. BitLocker management, so enforce endpoint encryption across the estate. Scripting as well, so reusable scripts. We've now got a repository for built-in rapid automated response across your environment. Email security, so looking at blocking spam and phishing and malware before they hit your inboxes. And of course, 24/7 MDR. So you've got a SOC team of experts monitoring and rapidly responding to incidents with a critical response time of 30 minutes. Then we've got MDR complete. So everything, of course, in MDR essentials, but also looking, as Charles alluded to, our patch and asset management, automated patching that keeps your devices secure and compliant within 4 hours. And as Charles said, it's mustard. Yeah, so that's his opinion. So yeah, ask me any questions on that. DNS endpoint blocks harmful sites and links in real time. It's self-learning before reaching your staff and student endpoints on site and remote. If they say get on home and holiday or whatever. Application control, users can only run approved apps, so that prevents that shadow IT and malware, gives you that zero trust approach. Email security advanced, so we're looking at stopping with the more advanced phishing and fraud attacks that perhaps maybe standard filters may miss. Obviously TAC, so the MDR would utilize this anyway, but it give you guys also that ability to utilize this yourselves. So that unified visibility, prioritized alerts, one-click remediation. As Imran said, we got higher frame supply, so our MDR team would be utilizing this anyway, but give you guys access to it as well. Remote desktop for so you can support all your staff and students remotely wherever you go. And again, of course, 24/7 MDR, so expert monitoring and rapid incident response. I'd like to clarify that incident response is available on both of the packages. It's not like we'll just respond, leave it up to you to contain and leave it up to you to respond. We'll respond as well within 30-minute response time for critical incidents, so you don't have to worry about security anymore. And when I was having a chat with Charles before, that was one of the things that he said, I don't have to worry about it anymore, which I think is a lovely place to get to, and that's where we want to try and help all you guys. All costs include. So I get asked a lot by my customers if there are any hidden fees. They've been stung a lot in the past by, okay, this is great. Oh, but suddenly there's onboarding costs and support and whatnot. So that includes all of these things. So onboarding and setup. So our onboarding team will help you get set up, make that process as smooth and as fast as possible for you guys. Set up in days, not in months. Ongoing health checks with customer success. So you get your own customer success team. They'll regularly review and give you best practice guidance on calls. And then obviously the MDR insights that Imran was showing you before. It's ongoing recommendations and reports to strengthen your cyber resilience. That's all included, so there's no extra fees there. As mentioned, we've got a really cool offer for everyone on the webinar today. That's going to help you drive down costs further. without losing any of the value. So for the first 10 customers to purchase either the MDR Essentials, the MDR Complete, you'll receive 15% extra off of our public sector pricing, one free module of your choice on top of your chosen package. Early access, it was highlighted earlier that we have a Cyber Essentials audit ready reporting module, which I am genuinely very excited about, because I know what a pain in the arse it can be to do auditing. Not a fun process at all. So early access to that, which will be coming out soon, and early deployment with flexible payment. I appreciate some people might be super interested in this, but think, okay, well, we don't have budgets until next year or whatever. Obviously, the caveat is that you can utilize this now and you're waiting till 2028 or whatever. So within reason, of course, but we can be flexible in terms of that. Those who joined us last time will know that these offers go quickly. So if you are keen, I'd advise you to scan the QR code. I'll just leave it on screen for a little bit longer. Scan that, get in touch with myself. I don't bite. We can have a conversation, see if this is a good fit for you guys. I'm there to help you find the right solution for you, whether that's Heimdal or not, and we can have that conversation to see if we are going to be the right fit for you guys. So yeah, I'll leave that a little bit longer. We've also mentioned, obviously, we're going to have a Q&A, so we can go through whatever questions that you guys have. So please get them in now. But questions for myself, questions for Imran from a technical capacity, from Adam, who has that wider insights and experience within the cybersecurity world, often Charles, obviously, who has been on your side of the pond, who's used this stuff. So yeah, if you've got any questions, please let me know, or please let us know. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Really, really appreciate it.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone who's contributed there. As those of us who are presenting this will know, we can see the Q&A rushing in. So thankfully, I was paying attention for a change. Sometimes, I'll be honest, in meetings I switch off, but it's actually really engaging. And I've made a number of questions myself, so you don't get away without Q&A just because we've not had any come in via Teams. So my first question really was for Charles. If you'll allow me to be the audience in lieu of anybody else submitting questions. Charles, you mentioned that you can ask Heimdal to intervene on your behalf. Have you had to do that yet? How many times? And if so, what was your experience?
Well, I mean, so luckily enough, like obviously, like Michael was saying about the onboarding process, it's pretty thorough. Like I feel like I know Jerry, who was our guy who helped us set it up better than I know like half my friends at this point. So I think ultimately my interactions with the MXDR team, rather than getting them to do, like I haven't had any terrible incidents that they've had to deal with, but I have had random stuff pop up. I'm trying to think of the specifics off the top of my head, but I mean, it was like there was some, well, basically some things I didn't understand what they were showing up, saying there was like brute force attacks happening on one of my servers or something like that, and I messaged them and was like, I haven't heard from you about this. Should I be worried about this? And they went, no, basically. It was, what it was like cached credentials or something on a machine that was trying to log onto the MPS server. I forget the specifics, but basically that's the kind of interactions I've had with them so far. So I've spoken to them a bunch of times, but mainly me bothering them rather than the other way around, in terms of just like getting clarification on stuff. And like, you know, it's a new thing that I had. So like, I'm like, it's all well and good people telling you the story that they're doing stuff, but until you're comfortable that they actually are, like, you know, I like to just every now and then check, email them over. The other thing is that if I go onto my dashboard, I can see things that have been like, okay, dealt with, and it literally has the email address of the specific guy who dealt with it. So, you know, if I wanted to get clarification on a specific thing, I can do. But yeah, I mean, we haven't had any. I mean, I've had plenty of things. Like I've had some the ransomware protection thing has like shut down a few things. Not actual ransomware, but stuff which I hadn't okayed that does encryption. So I can see that it's working. It's just that it was working against some random software that someone had managed to sneak through in one of the places which now has more tightened up ability to install software. But yeah, no, I haven't had anything like any what you would consider like a big event happen that they've dealt with, but certainly smaller ones. And like the stuff I was mentioning where you just get weird alerts and you're like, I don't really understand what's happened there. And get some explanation on that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charles. And my question has actually triggered some real questions from actual people rather than just the Dave bot. So the first one that came in, I think, was from Dan. So Dan's saying, apologies if you've missed it, but how is MXDR licensed? Is it per device? Is it FTE staff count, user count? How does that work, please?
Good question. Yeah, I'll take that one, I suppose. So yeah, it's per device and server essentially. So endpoint server. So endpoints we're looking at, computers, laptops, that sort of thing, and then the servers as well. So in terms of the only thing slightly different would be your remote desktop in terms of the number of IT admin that would want to run a session, essentially.
Okay.
So really easy. I've had a couple of people where licensing we've had to be a little bit flexible because of their setup, but yeah, it's a conversation we can have. I think common sense will prevail, but essentially endpoint servers.
And a supplementary question to that. This is from somebody who has got the magnificent name of Anonymous User. So they're saying for a primary school, how is it licensed? Is there and the key question here is there a minimum number of licenses? Because obviously some organizations are relatively small and can be sometimes hit if there is that minimum quota to hit.
No.
Nope.
I mean, if you've got, I'm working with a school of 50 at the moment who are batch utilize MXDR. Whether you work in a school of 50 or a school in 3,000 is just important for you, right? And you've got to safeguard that data, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, regardless, get in touch.
Brilliant, thank you. Arguably more important because they probably don't have the resource to be looking at things themselves, do they? Yeah. Andrew's also submitted a question about price. Now, I would reiterate to Andrew, probably the best thing to do to get quotes is to arrange that call with Michael via the QR code that was on screen. We'll try and jump back to that, or actually, I think your QR code was so secure that it didn't actually work when I tested it out. So maybe if you can put an alternative.
Just a note on that as well. I tried it and it came up with like a page that I just skipped to get to it. So I wonder if we can get it back up.
Mine was, the site cannot be reached. So which is another good thing, isn't it? Should we really be clicking on random QR codes that people show us on webinars? Obviously, I've fallen for it and now I'm infected. But yeah,
indeed. I would say as well. So if anyone, my email address is mic mother indigo charlie at heimdalsecurity.com. So just ping me on that as well if you want. So mic at heimdalsecurity.com. But I wonder if we could share the QR code again.
I think that we'll work on that whilst we go through the other questions. But thanks for that, Michael. There was another one as well I think was really pertinent. James is asking, does it cover Google Workspace as well as Microsoft 365?
Right, nice question. So in regards to email security, yes. So we do cover Google Workspace from an email security perspective. I think this might be useful for a lot of our viewers to know is we are looking at increasing our feature parity from the Windows side of things across other platforms, including Google, Mac, and Linux platforms. So that is something actively that we're working on. So watch this space. You will see enhancements and new feature parities coming across to match what we can do with Windows. So for now, it's just currently email for Google Workspace.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. I had something else as well noted down as well. That was it. So I was really impressed with the reports that you produced after an incident and all the things that people should have done to protect themselves. Is there an option to get that report before an incident so that we don't actually get hit? You do a kind of a vulnerability assessment, I guess I'm saying.
Great question, Dave. And actually, yes, we do. So through our customer success team, we have regular cadence calls with our customers, and part of our remit is to ensure that they're getting the best out of the Heimdal security stack. So we will do periodic best practice sessions, look at all the policies in use, work with the customer, right? It's not about us pushing down what we think is right. We have to tailor it to what the customer wants. So we work with our customers, understand their ecosystem, their infrastructure, what other tooling they have in place, and then adjust our configuration to work harmlessly with their environment. So yes, that's an exercise that we do periodically with our customers. And then you've got the MXDR team that jump in on top based off an incident what are the next best recommended practices that you should be using our stack for.
Brilliant. I mean, I think sometimes things like your patch management, your vulnerability assessment, it's when people look at the cost of products, they sometimes don't realize that they can make savings elsewhere because of this. So if you're already paying for a patch management solution, then that could potentially be offset to the cost of Heimdal, couldn't it? And similarly with the vulnerability assessment as well. So I think it's interesting to look at the wider picture rather than just the bottom line costs sometimes, which can sometimes be a little bit scary.
I think so. I think there's a price and there's a cost, right? So there's the initial outlay, but actually in terms of what you could save, we're at a stage where people have reached kind of a Frankenstack of different tools because security's got more and more intense. So if you can consolidate different aspects of that in terms of management, great. In terms of budget saving from elsewhere, that can be really valuable for a lot of the customers that I work with. So yeah, absolutely.
There is also one very important element that we haven't touched upon here yet, right? So like you mentioned there, Michael, right, this Frankenstack of tools, but then you need to be able to grab the respective information from each tool, correlate that information to understand what's going on. And that takes time, that takes effort, and you need specialized security experts to do that for you, which means additional costs. So that's the one beautiful thing about Heimdal, is all that work's done for you. And then you've got a SOC team that jump in on top of that and actually enhance all that data correlation and pinpoint exactly what's going on. And touchwood, everyone from Heimdal, you can keep me honest here, but one of the things that I will say is our MXDR team, in regards to response times and SLAs, they usually respond back within 30 minutes of seeing something within a customer's environment. So that's something that's, pretty rare this day and age from a SOC perspective, because usually it takes a bit of time, but our team's very, very good at that piece.
Fantastic. Thank you, Imran. We've got 3 more questions at the moment, so we've got a few minutes left yet. So if anybody watching wants to get their question in, then can I encourage you to do so now via the Q&A in Teams. But the first question I'll come to is from Katerina. So Katerina is asking, for organizations with small IT teams, how does Heimdal's MDR prioritize alerts and provide actionable insights without overwhelming staff? And I think that's really key, isn't it? And I think particularly for those schools that aren't fortunate enough to have big teams or experienced teams, because sometimes it can be a lack of experience, can't it? It can be really scary and overwhelming, this. So how do you kind of take a school from knowing nothing to being well protected by an advanced protection tool like Heimdal, and how do you then work with them to prevent overwhelm?
Yeah, happy to take that, Imran, or you can take it yourself if you
go right ahead, Michael, please.
Yeah, I think that that's why we kind of have the 2 different packages. So we start with the essentials, and then you've got the complete, because we can go from 0 to 100. So there is those kind of stages, but really that's the focus of the MDR team. But like I said, they will use the TAC portal to prioritize those alerts. So that's inbuilt within the TAC portal that they'll be utilizing. That's their weapon to prioritize alerts, to sort alerts. There's our NGAV tool will actually sort based on the MITRE TAC framework. It will sort those alerts and criticality itself. Then TAC will give more prioritization of those, and then one-click remediation on top of that as well. So that's inbuilt into the tooling that they're utilizing, and then they've got human experts at the end of that. I've probably butchered that a little bit, Imran, so I'll
that's absolutely fine. I mean, one of the other key elements is we are actually assigning a risk score to not just the device, but also the user. So by the time that risk score has popped up in our dashboard, we've done a lot of the heavy lifting already. So we've correlated all the data between every active module and fed that into the TAC portal to give you a nice visual perspective of, what's the highest risk within my environment from a device and user perspective. And then the MXDR team actually jump onto those high risks and start performing forensics and investigations to find out exactly why is it a high risk. Because, it's inevitable you will have false positive. It's just the nature of the beast. But you want to be able to determine quickly, is it a false positive? Is it a true positive? And then action on that. And that's where MXDR come in, because they've got that insight, they've got that knowledge, they can action, like I mentioned earlier on, within 30 minutes based on what's being found. So you do get risk scoring from a device perspective, from a user perspective. You also have what we have within the TAC portal as well as an alert center, where we show all the alerts and the alignment of what's been detected against each alert, which our MXDR team use as well. And they go in and actively resolve those alerts and add notes based on what has been resolved, so that you get full visibility, and then also you get the post-incident report on top of that. So it's a combination of things and how they prioritize what is actually occurring within the environment. But a lot of the risk scoring has already been done before by the platform itself.
Just probably worth bringing Charles as well there. Charles,
I was just going to say, like,
do you have a large IT team?
Well, I mean, yeah, massive. Well, like, it's almost
Yeah,
one-to-one actually. So I think what the guys are focusing on is when something bad is happening, right? Not, most of the time, touch wood, something real bad isn't happening. So when you're dealing with like the other alerts and stuff like that, there's a dashboard on there, and it kind of shows you where you are in terms of like patching, DNS problems, the whole shebang, and you can quickly at a glance sort of get an idea of if there are bad things happening that aren't maybe the MXDR team level bad things, and have a look at it. I mean, if I'm not going to share mine, because that would be like GDPR people would be having a mental breakdown at me. But if I look at it, I can see, for example, that a bunch of my Chrome is out of date, which, I mean, if anyone knows Chrome, that's like a daily occurrence, but nothing else is particularly bad happening. I can see that the AOS sniffer in Illustrator apparently triggers the ransomware protection thing, and I can see like how much stuff it's blocking, like at a glance. And then if I want to get into the sort of forensic level, if I wanted to, I can just click on those bits in the dashboard and get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm sure that we all have them. Like sometimes when you see certain users involved, you're like, oh, of course, it's that person doing that thing that they always do. So as the guys say, when something bad's happening, you've got the MXDR people, and they can do all that. But on a day-to-day scenario, when hopefully bad things aren't happening, you still can derive value from it just by looking at the dashboard, and you can delegate it to your different members of your team and so on and so forth. And it gives you like a good sort of baseline overview of what's occurring on your network or networks, as the case may be. But certainly, I think it makes it digestible. I mean, when you consider how many machines you're looking at one go, you've got like pie charts and various bits and bobs that can give you I mean, don't get me wrong, when you see red things on there, it's always like, oh my God, but then you can click through and see that the MXDR people have like checked it out and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think for a small team, it kind of gives you that insight that maybe when you're presented with the reams and reams and reams of data of like other security platforms, it's maybe a more digestible and more actionable on a sort of day-to-day basis when the worst isn't happening. Not to say that when the worst is happening, it's obviously very good as well, but when you're just cruising through life doing a normal day, you can still see who's doing crazy things, and if you've got a bit of software that's out of date.
Oh, can't hear you there, Dave.
Thank you. I muted that just to cough earlier. There's always one, isn't there, that doesn't. It's generally the host, especially when I'm hosting. We've got a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to go rapid fire on the last couple of questions, if that's okay. First of all, a couple of points from Chris. One of them isn't a question, but he wanted to share that his school has saved a very specific £29,364.20 since using Heimdal, which proves that I do sometimes know what I'm talking about in terms of saving money elsewhere. So thank you for that validation, Chris. But he did have a question around how does Heimdal handle the unique security challenges of education networks, for example, BYOD, guest access with DNS, etc. So very deep question, 30 seconds to respond, Imran.
Right, so yeah, we can handle all those pieces. Obviously, it'll be a combination of modules. So you've got, from a BYOD side of things, you can lock down DNS from a network level as well as an endpoint level. You can lock down USB ports on devices. You can start monitoring user accounts. I mean, it's literally the layered cybersecurity stack, right? And if we know about cybersecurity, it's not just one aspect you need to look at. You've got to look at all the different flavors and layers within cyber and just part them on top of each other. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways we can do it. Reach out to us and we can walk through all of those solutions with you. That's not a problem.
Brilliant. And then there's a question from L Dobson. I don't know whether L Dobson is male, female, or otherwise. So a question from Dobbo saying, can it cover 2 Azure or 365 tenants? And I guess to extend that, if you're looking at it from a multi-academy trust perspective, can we kind of drill down to individual school level and organization level?
Simple answer is yes.
I like simple answers. That's always good. Thank you. Okay, so then I'm just looking. The final question isn't actually the question; it's a prompt from Adam. So I think we'll jump back to you, Adam, on this. So Adam's question wasn't a question so much; it was more of a teaser for the next webinar. So Adam, over to you for that one.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so just to be sure, can everyone see what I've put in the Q&A, Dave? Is that visible to everyone?
That's a very good question because I'm not everyone, and I probably got the host view rather than the attendees view. But
I can't add it in the chat, so if you could copy and paste it in the chat, just so everyone's got it. But ultimately, what I've shared there is just by chance. Our next Heimdal Labs deep dive webinar, which is next week, the 7th of October at 10 a.m., is a behind the scenes look at MXDR. So I'll be walking through MXDR with actually one of our SOC team members, Alexandru. He will show us exactly what it looks like behind the scenes and then talk through as well how he investigates cases. So you'll hear not only from Imran today, not only from Charles, but you'll be able to see from the SOC view's perspective what it looks like and how we get involved. The link is in the Q&A and hopefully in the chat for you as well. If you can't see the link, you can also go to heimdalsecurity.com/webinars, where you'll see a list of all our webinars, and this one is next, so it's top of the list.
Fantastic. We are seeing a thumbs up against the Q&A post, and my AI, also known as Rick, has just told me that the chat is only for presenters rather than for viewers. So yeah, I think we're seeing it in the Q&A that's visible to everybody. And if anybody has got any questions who wants to follow up on anything that we've seen today, Michael's already given out his email address, which was mic@heimdalsecurity.com.
Bottom. Perfect. Dave.
In there, my brain does work occasionally. Excellent. Okay, I don't think we've got any other questions coming in from there. Is there any other closing comments that any of you guys want to make?
Nothing. Just get in contact if you're interested at all, and yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Adam and Imran from Heimdal, and thank you particularly to Charles, who's the kind of the real world voice on this, the person who's using it and has been able to give us that lived experience. As we've said, there are other webinars from Heimdal. There'll be other webinars. There's another webinar from the ANME tomorrow, which I have already forgotten what that is about because I'm not presenting it. But the beautiful Rick is going to be here, and he will. Do you know what? Let me see if I can conjure Rick up. Let's see how this works. Does Teams allow me to do this? And see if I can just I've manifested Rick just like that. That's amazing. Rick, you're with us tomorrow, aren't you? And hopefully you know what you're going to be presenting on.
I do. I should have looked when you were talking, shouldn't I? It's about securing student IDs and why it's important.
That is very important. So that's with Clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. So anybody who's still with us, come back tomorrow. It'll be almost as much fun as it's been today. But for now, thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we hope to see you soon at either Heimdal or the ANME.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Take care.